Greetings to all. This is DED 504. Our course title is Introduction to Administration and Planning. Supervised by our course instructor, Dr. EBOT FREDERICK, the University of Boya. Two of us are going to present on Unit 1 of this course. Myself, Erika Besem Agbo, and my course mate, Kanke Rachel. Unit 1 of this course looks at the basic concepts of educational management, educational administration, and educational planning. We are equally going to talk about some administrative functions of a Cameroon educational administrator, a case in point, the principal or the head teacher. Management. Management can be considered as the guidance, leadership, and control of efforts of a group of people towards some common objectives. It is a set of activities linked to planning, organization, or control. Now, focusing on educational management, what is it all about? Educational management is equally the guidance, control of efforts of a group of people to achieve educational goals. Now we are talking about educational goals in particular. It is a process of planning, organizing, coordinating, controlling, evaluating human and material resources to achieve stated educational goals. Let's move on to administration, which is the day-to-day running of an organization, the performance of executive duties, or the execution of policies and decisions. Who is an administrator in the first place? An administrator is an individual who directs the affairs of an organization to achieve its primary goals and objectives. Meanwhile, educational administration talks about the systematic arrangement of human and material resources and programs that are available for education. We should also take note that as a principal or a head teacher, you are an administrator. What are your functions? Your duty is to coordinate activities both of staff and pupils to improve the teaching learning process in your institution. Now, looking at planning. Planning is identifying purposes and objectives, and equally the means to achieve them. What do you consider when planning? Before planning, as an administrator, what are the things you have to consider or you take into consideration? You ask yourself the following questions. What do I wish to attain? What do I have, or how far am I from what I want to obtain? You equally ask yourself, what will I need to get there? You must provide answers to these questions because answers to these questions constitute planning. Without answering these questions, you are doomed to fail. Now, educational planning itself is the rational, systematic analysis of the process of educational development, which has two levels. We'll look at the micro and the macro level. Let's look at the macro level. The macro level is or talks about the implication of the state and or the government. Meanwhile, at the micro level, as a school administrator, a head teacher or a principal has to prepare activities well ahead of time. Course mates, this is part 1 of our presentation. We are going to continue with part 2 of this presentation with Kanke Rachel, as earlier mentioned.
Thank you very much, my dear colleague. And I will move on with part 2. And part 2 goes thus: differences between educational management and educational administration. The similarities between educational management and educational administration. Further, we move on to leadership skills and, of course, specific skills of educational administrators and how educational administrators acquire these skills. And lastly, functions of school administrator. The differences between educational administration, management and administration are as follows. Educational management is concerned with planning and formulation of policies and programs of an institution to achieve set goals, while educational administration is concerned with the day-to-day running of the school with the view to achieving educational goals. Educational management sets the objectives, identifies activities, positions them, recruits personnel, and pays salaries of the workers, while educational administration coordinates, organizes, make use of resources and the programs, and also implement the policies and programs that have been put in place. Educational management is concerned with ministers, the secretaries of state, and directors in the ministries of or the Ministry of Education, while educational administrator is concerned with the delegates, the inspectors, and head teachers. We also have the similarities of these concepts, which are they are all concerned with educational organization. That is, we're talking about the school here. And they also involve a group of people working towards the achievement of educational goals and objectives. When we talk about this, management and educational administration, we have some leadership skills to achieve. Before being a manager, you must have some leadership skills. What are these leadership skills? You must be a charismatic leader. You must be one who is visionary, who is motivational, that who has good communicative skills. You must be a civic-minded and ethical, and then you must be enthusiastic. As an administrator, how do you acquire these skills? According to Dole 1988, there are three administrative skills. You have the technical skills, which deals with the decision making and communication and motivational skills. Technical skills give the administrator the ability to use the tools and the techniques that have been put in place. For example, the head teacher should have the ability to plan well, organize, and coordinate the activities, both that of staff and that of the pupils in his care. We also have the human skills. These human skills, they deal with working effectively. The head teacher has to work effectively with the staff and the people or the pupils to build a cooperative and friendly team to achieve the goals of the school in which he or she is found. And thirdly, we have conceptual skills. These are the ability to put in and execute the tasks that have been given or assigned or confided to the care of the head teacher to help achieve these goals and objectives in educational system. Educational administrators, they acquire these skills through education. For example, going through educational administration courses like what we are doing in DED, University of Boya. They also acquire the skills through experience. This entails the time and longevity on job. For how long have you been there? So long as you're there, that is how you acquire the experience. It is also acquired through mentorship relationships. This occurs when the learner admires and emulates a role model when he or she works with a seasoned and experienced administrator. We move further to see the functions of a school administrator. There are three functions which we are going to see them: the pedagogic functions, the social functions, and the financial functions. Firstly, for the pedagogic functions, what is an administrator supposed to do? He's supposed to organize seminars. He's supposed to provide guidance and counseling in his school, present model lessons for teachers to follow, convene staff meeting and other pedagogic meetings to bring up or to put the set objectives together. He's supposed to motivate teachers and pupils. When you motivate teachers and pupils, it enhances the teaching and the learning process of a system. It ensures teachers teach following the program and prepares beginners or prepares the beginning of the year and annual report. We move on to the social functions. As an administrator or head teacher, he or she has to take part in visits of personnel in joyful or sad situations. His place is to receive visitors in schools socially. He's supposed to maintain and build a positive relationship between the teachers, between the pupils, the parents, and the community. He is to organize social meetings in school like Jangi, where he brings the teachers together and handle parental complaints tactfully. And finally, we get to the financial part. We know when finances come in, there are certain things that can go on to maybe remove these finances from the pocket, but he, as an administrator, or she, has to pay the PTA teachers who have been recruited in that school. He's supposed to prepare school budgets and manage school budget. He's supposed to account for school finances and improve on the school equipment of the school.
After having listened to the two parts of this presentation, we can therefore conclude that educational management, educational administration, and educational planning are relatively new and dynamic in fields of studies. Educational management is concerned with the planning and formulation of educational policies or programs. Meanwhile, educational administration is concerned with day-to-day running of the schools. We should also take note that all these concepts constitute useful and very important ingredients in the educational system of any nation, such as Cameroon.
For presentation, we were my
Erika,
colleague
Erika Besem Agbo.
and myself, Kanke Rachel.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.